All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to go over some cold weather hunting gear that I've been using for a little while that I think you might have some interest in. It may not be the full setup that you're looking for, but it could have a piece or two that really interest you. So I'm going to go over the full setup, how I use it. As I've said in the past, I'm not a big fan of cold weather. I tough through it, but if there's any ways that I can gain an advantage on that cold weather, I will take it and I will use it. So I'm going to review 5 pieces of gear that you see that I have on this table right here and how I use it and how it's worked out for me so far. So the first piece that I want to talk about, most crucial piece, because I use a quilt system, is going to be the Thermarest Ether Light XT sleeping mat. That is this one right here. This thing, I've used it for 3 years now and it hasn't let me down. It doesn't leak any air out. It's not overly noisy. It's been perfect for how I use it. Weight is a big thing for me. This thing weighs in at 1 pound, 8 ounces. It's not heavy, it's compact, it's been great. So it does have an R value of 3.2, which is perfect for me because I'm not trying to sleep in tundra, cold, frozen ground weather. If it happens to be that, I know that this thing is still going to work for me. Just a little bit about it. Like I said, it's compact, it's lightweight. It has a Xkin Platinum Durable 3040 fabric on it. It's pretty bulletproof so far. Like I said, no issues with it. I do use this, like I said, out in Colorado. I've used this some other places out west, out east. The lowest I've had this thing down to was probably here out east, which was like a 15-degree night. I did stay warm with it, but it's also because of all these other systems that I do use on this. It does have a blow-up sack on it, so it's on this back end right here. It's a bag. You can pull this out. You can blow into the top of it, and then you roll the bag down, and it blows up the entire mat. It probably takes about 10 times to actually do that. But it's been nice. I don't need to bring a pump or any of that. I did bring a pump actually this last time and I never even used it because this was just, this works for me. Like I said, this one's gray. It's not very noisy at all or anything like that. And it's been great. So check it out. It's a Thermarest Ether Light XT Air sleeping mat. The next piece of gear that I'm going to use after that is I use a quilt system. I can't do the mummy bags. I can't do regular bags. I'm a stomach sleeper. I'm a side sleeper. I move around a lot, hands underneath the pillows. Mummy bag, I get almost claustrophobic in, and I always end up wrapped up in it, and it's a mess for me. So this is the Enigma sleeping quilt. I went through all sorts of different quilt manufacturers. This is kind of where I landed. Made in USA, so that's a #1 right there for me. This one that I do have, it's a 950 fill gray goose down. It's got a sewn foot box into it. So some of these you can get where there's elastic band on the back part of the foot box. If your feet do get hot, or if you just want to have a foot out, let some air kind of regulate that temperature, you can open that. I need my feet to be warm, so I got the sewn foot box. It is a little bit of a taper. I got the regular kind of wider size. I wanted some room to be able to move around and all that. That's the same thing on the air mattress I just talked about. I got it's a rectangular version of that, and it's their large size. I want to be able to move around a little bit. I'll take on some of those extra pounds to bring that stuff in. This is made of a ultra nylon DWR finish. It's got a really soft finish to it. It's really comfortable. I will pull it out here, let you guys see it. So it comes in this stuff sack, and then it comes in another one that's more of a cloth bag. They tell you to store it in that when you're not using it. You want to keep that loft inside those feathers. You don't want to compress this thing down all the time. I will say with this bag, if you get a compression pack that has the straps on it, you can compress this thing down even more to fit into your pack. I just haven't done that, but this bag, it probably took up the most room in my bag out west this year, but it wasn't anything too bad. So as you see, this one I got, it's got a gray outside, it's got this yellow inside. You can actually see the feathers inside. This fabric's somewhat translucent. It is very, very soft. It does probably look like a giant garbage bag right now, but nice and soft. I'm not gonna go into the full details of the quilt system. There's a lot of reviews out there already on quilt systems, so I'm not gonna go into it, but if you guys have never seen one of these, you know, you have these little straps here that strap around the bottom of your mat, then they lock you in. I was a little hesitant on this, thinking this is gonna let a lot of cold air in because it's not completely closed, but I had no issues with it all. It kept all the air in. I stayed warm. Some parts of my system I didn't even need to use. So to give you guys an idea, it was only in the high, it only got down to the high 30s. Like we're talking 38, 42 degrees most nights. We were at around anywhere from 10 to 11,000 feet of elevation. So it had a little bit there, had a little bit of a nip to it, but I stayed completely warm with this. The nice part about this too, if you're a person who does get a little bit warmer, you can kick your leg out of these versus a mummy bag. You're trapped in there. So that is nice. This is the foot box right here. As you can see, it's sewn. It's kind of a round shaped foot box. So it's, it's nice and comfy in there. The other thing about this is the larger size. Like I said, I don't know if I said that before. And this weighs in at 27.42 ounces. So it is extremely light. It's going to be lighter than your typical sleeping bags or your mummy bags that you do get because it doesn't have all that fabric. But this thing's been solid for me. Last thing I want to show, this goes up around your neck. So if you do want, if it is a really cold night and you really want to keep the air in, you can button this down and then you can cinch this cord right here around your neck for the most part. Just have your head sticking out. Or I mean, if you really wanted to go full cocoon in it, you could zip it over top of your head and stay warm. Solid piece of gear. Absolutely love this. This has been a game changer for me when it comes to sleeping in general. The next thing that I'm going to run, if it gets really cold, and I did run this a couple times. Like I said, I don't like the cold. So this is the Sea to Summit Thermalite Reactor sleeping bag. This weighs 14 ounces. It's nice and small. They say this adds 25 degrees to your bag. So the quilt I have is a 10-degree bag. I didn't want to go with a 0 or anything under that because it's not always super cold with that. But once again, with the quilt, you have the ability to unstrap some of those straps, let some air in, regulate your temperature. It's a win-win for me. This, typically I would crawl into this bag right here. It's a really nice soft fabric. It's this polyester fabric. They make these two in different temperatures. So if you want something that's just not an overkill, you can go with lighter temperatures. If it spiked in temperatures and you have this quilt system, you can sleep in just this in your thermals and you'd be completely fine. So it's kind of the nice advantage of this, depending on what the temperature is going to be as you get there, your location, or you're getting out location. If you can scout the weather ahead of time and be like, I may not need a sleeping bag and I just need to bring this. And I know I have my puffy jacket and everything else, I'll be good. So nice, doesn't take up a lot of room. Great piece of equipment to have. This does have a sewn bottom, so it does taper a little bit. So mat, then I crawl into this, then I'm inside my quilt for those super cold days. When it's really cold, I found these. These are by Outdoor Vitals. They are the hybrid insulation booties. They have a 650 fill on them. They pack down to absolutely nothing. I actually stored this in my stove kit. This is where this was, so I kind of take that as bonus room. I didn't have to take up any room. What these are, they are down-filled foot. Here's your boot. You put that on. It does have elastic strap at the top. Even if you're sitting around the campfire and you want to get those boots off at night, or if you're just, there is no fire, you want to get your boots off and keep your feet warm while you're eating, you can wear these. It's a really strong fabric. It's very similar to the quilt that I shared. I would say it's probably the same fabric. They do squish down. These things are like little furnaces on your feet. So my sleeping kit, my feet sweat, and I think that's why my feet get so cold. That's what gets coldest the most on me. More than my hands, my upper body, my lower body is my feet. So these are a huge need for me. I did wear all this stuff at once. I've worn all of this inside, out east here. It got down to 15. It was cold. I was on the ground. I stayed as comfortable as can be. Only thing that I had upper body wise, I did have my thermals on and I put a Kuiu, I have a really thin puffy jacket and then a beanie, and I was toasty and my feet were great. So if you want to sleep with just some like sock liners and then put these on and get those stinky socks off, this is a great thing for that. So check these out. These are great. Last thing that I'm gonna wear are the First Light Men's Kiln Long Johns. That's just what these are. I wore these at night, and then I wore the same, this top actually right here, which is just another, this is another Kiln merino top. Just this with those booties, or even just a light pair of socks, kept me warm out west this year. I slept like a baby, no issues. Water issues with quilts down, it's all the same. I will say that we got hit by a couple of rainstorms out there. My sleeping bag was against a tent wall. It got a little wet. I was able to just fluff those feathers up, pull it away from the bag, open up the vents. It got warmer that day. I got back that night ready to sleep. Everything was completely dry. So it was perfect. So I just wanted to go over this setup with you, not go into crazy detail, but this is what works for me. Maybe there's a piece of gear out of here that you haven't had in your kit that you can add to your kit now. I highly endorse all this stuff. I've used it multiple times. Like I said, once again, I don't like being cold, and this kit here helps me stay nice and warm. So until then, give me a thumbs up if you like this video, subscribe so you know when I'm putting out new content, and I will see you guys next time. Drink some bourbon and stay toasty out there.